Pregame.com.
Vegas can be your partner picking your bracket. This is Brad Powers in the Pregame.com studios just off the Vegas Strip. March Madness, the NCAA tournament is finally here, which means office pools. It's time to fill out those brackets, and it's time to get some help from the Vegas Wise Guys. And Fez, you're a Vegas Wise Guys. What are some betting strategies when it comes to filling out your NCAA tournament bracket?
Now let's pull back the curtain here. I'm going to explain a little bit about why I fill out different brackets depending on which pools I'm in. Number one, I trust Las Vegas. The first thing I do, I take a pencil, not a pen, and I look at all the spreads on the games, and I write in the teams that are favored in each and every game in round one. That's my basic strategy, rough draft. That's the odds makers' first round bracket. That's what I start with, and then it's time to get a little actively involved and start tweaking it with the few upsets.
Now, one of my pet peeves, I think seeds are relatively irrelevant. It bothers me so much when a 10 seed that is favored over a number 7 seed wins the game outright, and you hear the national media guys on ESPN, oh, it's an upset. No, not really. They were favored. Now, your first step is figuring out who's going to be favored in all these games. Is that correct?
That's right. And I will look at it like a 6 will play an 11, and Vegas will have the line pick maybe the 6 seed's like a 1-point favorite. Immediately, I think I'm going to take that 11 seed more often than not because I know most of the public is going to take the 6 seed just looking at the seed numbers. I don't look at the seed numbers at all, but I try to project what the public's going to do. Hey, if it's a 50-50 game and 2/3 of my competition is taking the 6 seed, I'll probably go ahead and take the 11 seed.
Now, when you're filling out your bracket, whether it be Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, Vegas only has spreads on games featuring the first rounds. I must admit that is half the tournament. There's 32 games out of the 63 are played in the first round, but what happens after the first round when you don't have a Vegas line on those games?
But I do, because I've got Vegas power ratings from Brad Powers at pregame.com. And again, I just take out my pencil. I look at who you have, ranking the teams, and I take the better ranked team, and I just go ahead and pencil them all in through the Final Four. And now that's my odds makers bracket, if you will. And then it's time, again, start tweaking it for some select upsets.
Now, let's talk about dogs and upsets. You know they're going to happen, so therefore you can't just go all chalk. I mean, what kind of dog position do you want in your portfolio?
It really all depends upon how big that the bracket is. And so because of that, initially, I know I'm going to have to make a few select changes if it's a smaller pool. But if I got to tell you, if I'm playing heads up, I'm just going to take the Vegas odds makers, teams that are favored. That's going to be every single one of my picks. I'm going to be very confident in my ability to beat one guy heads up with that bracket.
And the size of the pool that you're entering is your second key betting strategy.
Absolutely. So we talked about that heads-up strategy of boring, just copy Vegas. Okay, now I got 40 people. I got an office pool. If I do that, the problem is that a whole bunch, not a whole bunch, but some of the other people are going to go chalkity, chalk, chalk all the way through and take the very best teams. It's going to be very hard for me to win. So I need to go ahead and take a flyer. But I can't take a big flyer. I can't take Iowa State at their true odds are probably more than 100-1 or right there. If there's only 35 people in my office, why would I take a 100-1 shot to win it all? That's not the proper way to play. You probably want to maybe play 1 7-point underdog to get there, maybe 2 to 3-point underdogs. You want to limit your underdogs when you have a pool that's only, say, 30 or 40 people.
All right, heads up, you're talking mostly taking all chalk, all favorites. Office pool, you're talking about selectively picking some upsets. But I want to know, Fez, how do I win the ESPN Bracket Mania when I'm going up against tens of thousands of people? How many upsets should I be picking there?
Yeah, and so now you get a lot more liberties. Now, history tells us that those 1 through 4 seeds are still the ones that are predominantly more likely to win the tournament, to make the Final Four. So you can't go crazy. You can't pick like an 11, an 8, a 4, a 2, but you can pick one. So you can take a complete flyer on a team. I'd say at number 12 seed, I much prefer, though history tells us you got to be a top 8 seed to win. So I like the idea of taking an Iowa State team you like, projected number 6 seed to win it all. Maybe I'll take a Dayton to make the Final Four. Maybe I'll take a 4-point underdog somewhere else, a 3-point somewhere else. In other words, I'll take 6 or 7 dogs, 1 big one, 1 medium one, and maybe 4 to 5 smaller ones. That seems like to be the right mix. That if I hit all those, now we're in business, and I have a legitimate shot to win this tournament, even though I'm a massive underdog. If I was in a heads-up contest against one other guy who has a bracket similar to very, very many other people.
All right, Fez, let's recap it.
Let's go ahead and recap it. Trust Vegas. Look to play mostly chalk when you fill out your March Madness bracket, and then selectively go ahead and start making some upset selections. However, be aware how big is your pool. If you're playing against a small office pool, then don't pick that many upsets. Just pick a select few. Just stay with who Vegas says is going to be favored. But in the big national pool, now you got some more liberties. You can go ahead and take some big upsets. I like the idea of taking one really big upset and then sprinkle in 5 or 6 other upsets along the way, and you probably have your optimal chance to go ahead and win that national pool. Many different ways to skin the cat. The number one thing is don't fill out just one bracket. It all depends how large the pool of your competition is when you fill out how many upsets to take. More videos at pregame.com.